I got a chance to go to an early fan screening of How to Train Your Dragon, the live action remake. So let's talk about it right now. Hello, everyone. Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for How to Train Your Dragon, the new live action remake of the original 2010 film. Now, before we get into the actual review, a couple of things. I've never seen the How to Train Your Dragon movies, so that definitely colors my experience a little bit because I don't have any initial baggage or connection to the original films. And I also don't really know the story. I mean, I think overall, just through pop culture and media, people talking about it, I knew a little bit of the story, but not all of it. But before we get into that, I also want to talk about the stuff that you can buy for How to Train Your Dragon because I wanted to see what it was. I went to AMC, so that's the only stuff I have. So for $34.99, you get the cup with a toothless at the top, which is a really nice cup. Now you can definitely tell this is a kids movie, or at least geared towards kids because of the size of the cup. And then we also have the nice popcorn bucket, which is really cool. Actually, it's got a lot of detail compared to some of the other ones that I've seen more recently. This one's actually pretty cool. And then you also get this toothless little plushie. It's got, I think, magnetic wings because it keeps sticking to my bucket. So I think it's got some kind of magnetic wings. So that's pretty cool. It's got a really nice design. I really, really like it. So, and then also, and this is only at AMC, so I don't know about the other chains. This is you get this stuff, but you don't have to use it to eat your stuff. You get a regular popcorn and a regular drink, so like a regular cup and a regular drink. All that for $35. I think that's a pretty decent pack for some swag for the film. Like I said, it's all well designed. It's definitely geared for a younger audience, but I still wanted to check it out. I like collecting some of that stuff, especially because this one's not something that's super overpriced, right? Okay, now let's get into the actual film itself. Um, because it is early, there's not a lot of reactions out there, so I went into this film very clean. You'll probably be watching this on the day of theatrical release, but this movie is 2 hours and 5 minutes, rated PG, and as of the recording of this video, we only have a Rotten Tomatoes score for the critics of 78%, but a letterbox average rating of 3.9. And I'm leaning, I mean, those are very close, right? 78%, it's almost 80%, which is almost 4 stars. So both the critics and letterbox average rating very, very close. And I'm actually pretty close as well to that overall. I really enjoyed this film for many reasons that we'll get into, but one of those being like this is a new story for me, right? I don't have any previous knowledge. I understand that I'm not a big fan of the live action remakes myself, and I understand that a lot of people do not, especially when it's just cut and paste, because this is very much, from what I know and what I've seen and what I've researched, pretty much just a very faithful remake of the original film. So let's get into some of the details about the creative team behind this production. First of all, this is directed and written by Dean DeBlois, who was the original animated trilogy's co-creator. He's now returning with full creative control. We have music by John Powell, who returns, blending the orchestral and some Nordic elements. And a lot of this was recorded at Abbey Road, which is a very famous movie recording studio where they have like a full orchestra. The budget of this film is around $150 million. So obviously we don't know the box office right now because it's so early. We have in the cast Mason Thames as Hiccup. We have Nico Parker as Astrid. We have Gerard Butler, who was the original voice actor for the same character. He's Stoic the Vast. Nick Frost is Goober the Belch. Julian Dennison is Fish Legs. And then you have a few other characters that, Snot Loud. You have the twins. So a lot of those same supporting roles and the people that fill out that original cast in the world are also brought into this. As I mentioned, this is a very faithful adaptation to the original plot. In this movie, Hiccup, a young, inventive Viking, struggles to fit into a dragon hunting society. He captures a Night Fury who is toothless, but instead, eventually, they become friends, defying expectations, right? Uh, Toothless is a very different type of dragon, a dragon that nobody had even seen before, nobody had recorded on their history. And Hiccup is a very different type of person compared to everyone around him. So I think it's a really interesting way to show that you can be different and maybe change things for the better. It's really, really interesting. The story moves along very well. I feel like the pacing of this is so well received, probably because a lot of people already know what they're getting into. But my theater was full of families. Like this was just an early screening that we were able to attend, so that was really nice. I don't know if I would compare it to the original, and I think they can stand alone on their own. But there's definitely going to be some comparison, right? But I really like the performances. I think they are very much very emotional, very moving. I think the CGI looks great. Like these dragons look fantastic. Like I would say better than some of the stuff we've seen on Game of Thrones sometimes, like the dragons there, especially because a lot of this movie takes place like in the middle of the day, or in the daylight. So like the dragons are definitely at the forefront of this. So they really put a lot of thought and care into the design of the dragons. Of course, Toothless is probably the one that is more of a one-to-one adaptation to the original dragon because he stands out, right? There's not a lot of Night Furies in the film. Feels like this dragon is somebody like this type of dragon is something that is not very common in the world. I love that all the costumes of the Vikings. They look very individualistic. Like each character stands out on their own. Although they all have the same kind of themes and the cores. Like the twins look very different than Hiccup and Astrid. Like they all have their very own unique look. And there's a lot of great performances, right? I think Gerard Butler, like he kind of was born to play a role like this. I can see why he was cast as the voice in the original movie because he just had, and then he has the physicality to play this, big imposing Viking. Whereas I think Mason, who plays Hiccup, also they picked somebody that would really feel in that role that is very opposing to his dad. So that's really cool. I like that idea. There's a lot of emotional moments because that's kind of what these movies do, right? They tug at the heartstrings. Um, and this is a film for younger audiences, so like I was never truly surprised by any of the twists and turns. There's some really cool sequences. There's a flying sequence that, man, oh man, it's some of the coolest dragon flying that I've seen on film. And it's just great because obviously this is all done with CGI, but uh, the way that it is shot, the way that the camera moves around, the way that you can kind of almost see as if you yourself are riding the dragon, I think that really works. So yeah, there's some great stuff here. The locales where they shot this looks like some of the most beautiful places I've seen on Earth. Just like these lush little mountains and this island that is almost left to its own devices. But then you get into the actual village, and everything looks very cool, very lived in. It's got its own unique little style, but it definitely feels like something that is very stylized to mimic that animated feel from the first film. Even all the Viking designs, right? A lot of the a big part of this is that a lot of these characters have lost limbs in combat, so they have like these very inventive tools and devices to help them move around and just kind of live everyday life. The helmets are all very cool. The armor, even their ships are very cool. Like they just really work. I don't know how I wouldn't call this original because of course it's an adaptation of something that has been done before. But I think there's a little bit of nuance of like there are some things that work very differently in live action. So I would be interested now in going back and watching the original film and maybe doing a more one-to-one comparison. So maybe that'll be a different video. But if you've seen the original one, let me know were there a lot of changes to any of the scenes, anything that happened differently? I think we spend most of the time with Hiccup and Toothless, of course, as they are kind of bonding, and we see that, and that's kind of the anchor of the film, that relationship, and it really works because not only does Mason deliver the emotional beats and performing against something that's not there, but the animation of Toothless really works, right? I mean, just look at the plushie; it's an adorable character. So, yeah, I think I did see. I have some notes here, just a little bit. I think the original film is a little bit faster and more lean. There's definitely some stuff that I would be interested to see where they expanded some of these sequences. Of course, the original is animated versus the use of CGI here. And then I think the score is what really makes it feel like you're reliving in this world, or you're re-entering in this world, right? And it's great because there's now the park at Universal Epic that just opened up or is in the process of opening up, where one of the new lands is a full How to Train Your Dragon thing. So that's very cool. Like it's just very synergistic that the parks are now also being driven by these movies. So overall, I think this is a faithful, visually stunning reinterpretation of the original film. It's very emotionally rich. It's a little bit darker in some things, I believe, but it's definitely aiming for expanding the character arc a little bit and getting to know some of these characters a little bit more. But overall, I think it's very solid. And I don't know that you are only driven to nostalgia. I feel like a lot of people will go watch this just as an original thing. So it'll be interesting to see the reaction. So if you want these larger than life dragon fights and you've been yearning for that, if you want to see what it would be like to ride a dragon all over the place with some heartfelt character beats, and then just a modern reimagination of what you saw many years ago, then I think this delivers that for sure. So the animated film might have a little bit more charm, but I think there's a lot of heart that still translates over to this one, which is a lot of the time the part that is lost in the Disney live action remakes. So I'd be interested to hear, like I said, more from people that have seen the original and now are watching this or revisiting the franchise. So uh, if you have seen this film, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. Let me know what you thought about the original film. I know there's more than one. I believe there's 3 or 4. So I would not be surprised if this live action also gets a sequel because it is prime for that. So as always, thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. And stay tuned because we have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff in the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye-bye.